What's going on, everybody? This is an episode from the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast. Do you like podcasts and you want to see the full podcast? Make sure you check out the No Gimmicks Needed Wrestling podcast on all your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, among many others. But you're listening to the episode right here on YouTube, so make sure you hit that like button and below, and make sure you hit the subscribe button to NC Studios and NC Level Up for all your gaming needs. This is the Nerd Coalition. Enjoy the show. But right now we had NXT Halloween Havoc. So this NXT Halloween Havoc was hosted by Shotzi Blackheart, or Shotzi, which she's been doing like the majority of them because she fits the mold there, and Quincy Elliott. Why? But he wasn't insufferable, so I wasn't mad at him. He starts off the show, he calls out Shotzi, and then they say, basically, welcome to Halloween Havoc. She gives a laugh and does her, oh, oh, oh! She does a little yell, a wolf thing, and then we kick it off. I didn't see any of the pre-show. I didn't see any of the pre-show matches that they had on there, but
I seen Sam Roberts was dressed as Stone Cold.
That's actually kind of funny.
And then I seen Dave LaGreca was dressed as himself. Literally had himself on his t-shirt.
Wow. I missed all that. Well, we kick off with the ladder match for the vacant North American Championship. Carmelo Hayes taking on Von Wagner, Nathan Frazier, Wesley, and Aurora Masai. Is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's from NXT UK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, we start off. Of course, Melo had the best entrance. Trick Williams talked, up there in the corner and brings him out. I like how he had in the rafters. He had everybody that was in the ladder match crossed off, and he poured out absolutely like a drop of water for all of them. I was like, oh, that stuff is great. So Melo is the star. But I felt as though like he wasn't. We never got a chance to do predictions. He was not my pick to win.
I want to say Oro.
That's who I was either going with him or Nathan Frazier. Those are the ones I was going with, and I found out I was completely wrong. But this ladder match up was good because everybody in this matchup can fly and do something except for Von Wagner. Yeah, except for Von Wagner. And these guys were sitting there and putting their bodies on the line and had some good things. Some of the highlights that we had, because like I said, it was like all over the place, indie style spots and everything. Von Wagner, because he's obviously, when you had these kind of ladder matches, you gotta have a powerhouse. So he's obviously the powerhouse. They did the pile-up spot. Aurora was trying to do the Ricochet, but messed up kind of badly. Remember when Ricochet first debuted for the North American Championship, and it was NXT New Orleans, a TakeOver New Orleans? The one that had...
What spot are you talking about?
Say what?
What spot?
Remember when, I forgot who was climbing the ladder, and somebody was tilting the ladder over. He did a moonsault to the outside to everybody else as the ladder fall. Aurora tried that, but he caught that top rope and hit the apron. I was like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. There's another spot where Von Wagner takes Wesley, because he's so small, and launches Wesley outside the ring onto the announce table.
And Booker was like, oh.
I said, that is actually kind of impressive, because I ain't never seen somebody get thrown. The last time I see somebody get thrown to an unknown place, either when Mark Henry threw that producer guy, or when Big Show threw Mysterio 15 rows back in the crowd. Remember that from like 2003? I was like, yo! Did y'all have a list of indie guys back there to catch Ray? Because he got launched back there.
Nah, I think that was just I don't think that was plants. I think it was. Well, it could. I don't know. Actually,
well, it'd be funny if it wasn't. Like, oh shit!
Yeah, because the way he threw, like, he didn't throw him in the first row. Usually, Pence be in the first row. He threw him in like the 6th or the 7th or the 8th.
Yes, he lost his ass. So with that being said, he threw him to, and I said that was crazy. Then on the side, he tries to pull out this ladder, and obviously the performance center does not have enough space like the main roster does. So between the barricade and the ring, so he tried to pull out a ladder. I don't know if you saw us or not. There was this fan, this black girl that was right there, and then she was like talking crap to her. Then he talked crap to her, but then he tried to pull out the ladder and he hit her with the ladder, and she fell back into her seat. And the fans,
I think she dodged it. She just did like a Matrix.
Oh, and the fans were saying, "You're an asshole." I thought it was great, but he gets lit. Von gets laid across the ladder. Nathan Frazier does a frog splash to Von Wagner across the ladder, breaks the ladder. They do that kind of spot. Wesley and well, first of all, Carmelo Hayes was just doing so much crazy stuff in here. Even when he tried to go onto the middle for his springboard splash, Nathan Frazier gets up there with him, or was it Aurora? I'm not sure. And they do like a reverse Spanish fly onto the ladder. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Mm-hmm. These guys out here are killing it, but mostly it came down to Wesley and Carmelo Hayes, and they had like a ladder, that one ladder bridge between the ladder and the ropes, and Wesley knocked Carmelo Hayes down onto it and gave him a meteor down onto the ladder, and came back and won the match. I'll tell you right now, Wesley was not on my radar.
Me neither, because that still makes no sense to me, but we'll see.
You don't think that makes sense? He's not a tag team guy no more. He don't have a tag team.
I know, but he's not an established enough singles guy.
To be fair, Wesley has been doing singles matches since what's homeboy name left?
Yeah, I know he's been doing it, but he still hasn't been established as a guy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody seemed to be happy about it. Him and Shawn Michaels had a moment backstage about it, but I was just like, okay, hey.
Because Shawn Michaels knows what it's like to leave a team and be a champ.
So, look, I'm willing to see where it goes from there. You know.
Yeah, I'm willing to see where it goes, but I definitely would have said like Oro or somebody else. Definitely not Wesley.
Yeah, so the next match is a casket match because it was a spin the wheel, make a deal, and Landon.
All right, I'm out.
Wait, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet, because it was Apollo Crews taking on Grayson Waller, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, damn, how much NXT did I miss to see this shit happen? I was like, this is the most awkward match for these two guys to have. So, but before we get to the casket match, as the Druids are bringing out the casket. And they bring out the old school fucking cast. I'm like, why are they doing that? Maybe because of how big Apollo
was so
Crews
weird
is.
Because they was talking, the lights went off, and they brought out the casket. You know, it was like, since they're bringing out the casket, let's go to Mandy Rose. Like, what?
Exactly, because we had to see this whole Mandy Rose going to get her keep her championship from Alba Fire, who's in this haunted house. I was just like, look, I give Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis pulled it off with that haunted house thing that they did, or the House of Terror, whatever they did. They pulled it off. This was a miss, in my personal opinion.
Obviously.
So, Toxic Attraction is in the car. And first of all, JC Jane doesn't want to go. But Gigi Dolan was like, you know, hey, look, I'm for it's 3 of us and 2 and 1 of her. So, they go into the haunted house type thing. And it's the usual campy stuff. They go in there first, and then Mandy Rose was like, look, we need to split up. And JC was just like, you don't ever split up. But they did, and then, of course, some, you know, horror stuff happens to them. They kidnap, what was it? JC Jane and Gigi Dolan's at the table talking to Chucky, and then somebody comes out and it's Alba Fire, and then they start fighting her, that she gets the advantage, and then Mandy Rose is in the room, another room, and then Alba Fire comes up, and Mandy Rose cannot sell a facial expression at all.
No.
At all. I was like, when she came, I was like, if y'all going to go all the way with this, at least look scared. She's just sitting there just like, huh? And I was just like, this is terrible. So she's sitting there fighting Alba Fire, and then Alba Fire beats her down, and then Toxic Attraction tries to save Mandy on the outside, but they get beat down. She says, well, you know how you said there's Toxic Attraction up here and everybody else? Well, guess what? I'm not everybody else. So she kidnaps Mandy Rose, and now she comes back to the arena. Meanwhile, Booker T and who's the other guy on commentary?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah,
Vic Joseph maybe or somebody.
Yeah, it could be. He's just sitting there, just like, well, I can't believe what I just saw. Like, are you serious? Okay, I didn't gotta stand it. But then now Apollo Crews taking on Grayson Waller. They had even in the story about how Apollo Crews had the bleeding eye because he got poked in the eye and everything. And I was just like, all right. So they're having a match. Meanwhile, when they're on the top rope, Grayson Waller pushes Apollo off and he falls into the casket.
Darby Allin style.
What you say?
Darby Allin style.
Exactly. And I'm like, by merit alone, isn't that it? Because
but you got to close it on them.
Oh, that's you can't just see. Yeah, you got to close the casket on. Well, then as everybody try to figure out what the hell to do, the lights go off, and I'm like,
I was like,
what the fuck? Like I said, it's like this ain't Undertaker.
Like Joe Gacy or somebody.
Exactly. I'm just like, okay, we have Apollo Crews and Grayson Waller. There's nobody in here that warrants this darkness. And then when we get up, Apollo Crews.
Oh, nobody? Nobody in this match, huh?
Nobody in this match warrants that darkness at all.
They
You about to say something about Apollo Crews being dark?
Why? Why is he the Undertaker all of a sudden?
Next thing you know, the casket's gone. Apollo Crews is at the top of the stage with druids. Like this is really as they're coming out with another casket, and he's sitting there like God. I'm like, when did he become Apollo Taker? When did he become Apollo Taker? Like this makes absolutely no sense.
When he came out with druids, for some reason I thought that's gonna bust into the Thriller for some reason. I don't know why.
So now they have this big, more reinforced type casket. I'm like, why don't you just bring a real, like WWE used to use the real caskets. Like I saved the Darby Allin stuff for the Darby Allin stuff, like the little wooden pine boxes. But they brought this one out, so now they're going back and having a matchup. So meanwhile, now it's like Apollo got the powers from the dark, and now
he got the urn.
He just sitting there and just waxing the shit out of Grayson Waller. Okay, he just beat the shit out of him. And then he goes in.
Up, brother. He hulked up, brother.
Okay. And he goes and wins the matchup. So Apollo Crews beats Grayson Waller in the casket match. I expected Apollo Crews to win, period. But I was just like, when I heard Spinner would make a deal, I was like, okay, they probably gonna do a cage or something. But no, a casket match. I was like, didn't see that coming. Next up, we have another spin the wheel, make a deal, which is Roxanne Perez taking on Cora Jade. Apparently, they had a pick your poison stipulation for the past NXTs and stuff where they had Roxanne Perez taking on, who was it? I forgot who Cora Jade picked. And then
Rhea Ripley.
Oh, Rhea Ripley, that's right. And then Cora Jade had to face Raquel Rodriguez.
Gonzalez, yeah.
Gonzalez. No, it's Rodriguez now. Okay.
It was Gonzalez though.
Yeah, I'll say. Well, look, that shit always confuses me. So, but now it's time for the weapons matchup. The match was okay. To say at least, Roxanne Perez is clearly the better one here. I like Cora Jade as the heel, but when it comes to the wrestling, is obviously Roxanne Perez. They go out, huh?
At 20.
Yeah, at 20. They go out to the crowd and they go into the little 10-foot high podium thing that
when that Vince showed up.
Yeah, the one I say the one that Vince had to show Gronk that it's fine to take a 10-foot drop, and they're fighting, and then Roxanne Perez about to knock Cora Jade down, and I don't know how they were supposed to take this bump. I don't know if Roxanne Perez was supposed to miss and Cora Jade was supposed to just pull them both down, or she's supposed to just run into her, but it looked bad because she just runs, stops, and turns into Cora Jade's arms, and they both. It's like she said, "You ready? Let's do this." And they both fall
like
back.
A Russian leg sweep.
Yeah, and they both fall backwards through the tables below, and I was just like, it didn't look good. The way they did it, it just didn't look good. So, as Roxanne Perez, as they try to get up, there are these chairs in a pile on the ring. And then Cora Jade said, "You were never my friend," and blah, blah, blah. But then she keeps getting hit by Roxanne Perez, and then she says, "You were my friend." And then gives her cold red right into the chairs. And then pins her. Roxanne Perez wins the matchup. It was something, I guess.
Yeah, but they really like her, and they might use her more on SmackDown, maybe. I'm not sure.
Well, like I said, I like Roxanne Perez. I think she should stay in NXT, though. But
I do, too, but, you know.
I'm about to say, if y'all need some women, y'all need to do something with the women y'all got, okay? To be honest with y'all. Now, next is the ambulance match. Julius Creed taking on Damon Kemp.
You're going to have to say this over because I see nothing.
Mm-hmm. You know what's funny? I think it was about 2 months ago when somebody was like, Gable Stevens' brother is already wrestling. I said, where? He said, in NXT. I said, who the fuck is his brother? Damon Kemp. I was just like, you mean the guy from Diamond Mine? Because I did not know. This was he was still at Diamond Mine. And I was like, I never knew that.
They didn't announce it 50 times either, though.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know that was his actual brother. I was like, oh, so he actually has a tie to the wrestling business. I did not even know that. So, okay, so sure, I didn't even know that.
He's still horrible.
Damon Kemp?
No, Stevenson.
Oh, you seen a workout video of his?
Oh, from what I hear, they say he's still doing bad.
Oh, I know he had some health problems. And he had to get those fixed first, like the enlarged heart stuff that he had problems with.
So aside from that, actually, working wise.
Oh, working wise? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, because I honestly, by
unless
this
he's gonna
time,
be like Goldberg, something to my work rate. There's no.
I honestly, by this time, I thought he would have been, on TV by now, but I guess
especially they gave this man 2 spots at Mania, 2 different days.
Yeah, and they didn't even put his ass in the draft.
Yeah,
2K23, you're gonna be DLC. So, okay. So anyway, so Julius Creed, I have grown to be a fan of the Creed brothers. If Julius lost, Brutus Creed had to leave NXT. We knew that wasn't going to happen. So they had an entertaining ambulance matchup. Kemp comes out with a steel chair that has Julius on there. And they take everything from the ambulance. They take the whole stretcher and wheelchairs out from the ambulance. I was like, oh, we got a stretcher match within the ambulance match? Remember stretcher matches? So
that is what it is, though, right?
No, stretcher matches, you have to...
You gotta put them on there, and then you gotta cross the line.
Yeah, it cross the finish line at the top of the stage.
This one, you just gotta put them on there. We gotta put them in the actual.
You gotta put them on the stretcher. You just don't put them in the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I was just like, why not just combine the matches?
Yeah,
it just combine the matches. I'm just like,
because it's hard to get a stretcher into an ambulance.
You know what? Fair enough. Because the stretcher match idea to me, it seemed all right, but I was like, yeah, push it over the line. I'm just like, I think the entertaining one they had was Batista and Shawn Michaels. That was an entertaining, and RVD and Randy Orton had an entertaining stretcher match also. Finlay and Mysterio had a good one also. So did they go fight to the backstage because the ambulance is actually backstage because it's the PCs, it's the performance center, so you can't have it out there on the stage or nothing like that. So they go out there and they rush to the back. He throws Julius into this cart thing and rams it against the ambulance thing, but Julius hits a couple spine busters. Meanwhile, he overpowers Kemp and he throws him into the ambulance, wins the matchup. Like I said, it wasn't like we've seen good ambulance matches. Shane McMahon and Kane comes to mind. Dean Ambrose and Bray Wyatt comes to mind also. But other than that, you know what I'm saying, this was just like a typical hardcore match where they went in there and just, had the ambulance. That's all basically what it was. So now we get to the women's championship match. The Mandy Rose taking on Alba Fire. And here's why I don't like all this build up, all this horror, all this. She had to go to her house of horrors and all this fun, and she say she's above everybody else. She get beat in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sitting there saying, huh?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And I'm just like, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Alba Fire, Kaylee Ray, whatever you want to call her. But I was like, but Dan, give her a little bit more than that. I'm sorry, you could give her a little. Y'all could just cut that whole haunted house segment out. And put that towards the match. Y'all, they could have had a decent ass match because the match was much nothing. Toxic Attraction came out, distracted her. Mandy hit her knee, and that was it.
Yep.
I was like, y'all, whatever y'all tried to build up with Alba Fire is just gone now.
So it's gonna be quick because she wasn't supposed to be there anyway.
Why not? What you mean?
Her brother died, so she was like not going to even wrestle in the first place.
Oh, really? I didn't. Oh, you talking Mandy Rose?
Yeah,
that's right. I'm about to say I don't know shit about Alba Fire's brother or anything like that. No, I know Mandy Rose's brother. Yeah, did pass away. He did pass away, and then but she came in there. So yeah, she didn't have to do that in the first place. So
yeah, she wasn't at first, but then I guess they convinced her or whatever.
Or she probably just needs something to do to keep her mind off of it, maybe, and I can understand that too. Main event time, best match of the night. Braun Breaker taking on Ilya Dragunov, taking on JD McDonald. This matchup here is a damn good triple threat matchup. To the point where I was just like, Braun convincingly almost lost his championship about 3 different occasions. Ilya Dragunov is a beast, dude. He is a beast. I'm like, because I said I never watched UK, and the only match I was seeing of him was him and Walter. But now seeing him in here with Braun Breaker and JD and all that stuff, it was really good. There was this one spot where Braun Breaker had JD on the top rope, and he goes for his Frankensteiner, his dad's favorite Frankensteiner. And as he does that, Ilya Dragunov catches JD as he's coming down in a sit-down powerbomb. That's
the SVR special.
Yeah. That joint was great. I'm saying, but when you see it like live and it works out perfectly in a match, because people have botched that move so many times or have tried that, but this one was like picture perfect to the point I was just like, that's when the momentum of the match started changing. Then Ilya Dragunov goes and he starts warming up, and then he does his things where his little flying headbutt and his finisher. He does all this to Braun, and then he goes and covers him. As the referee's about to count to 3, JD comes back into the ring and grabs the referee's hand from tapping 3. And everybody was just like, "You son of a bitch." Holy shit. They were chanting all that kind of stuff. Dragunov was mad. Goes to the outside, flings his body, dives through the ropes and takes out McDonough. And but then he gives him like the flying headbutt on the floor. But then JD fights back. Then JD goes into the ring, gives Braun Breaker convincing brain buster. And then, he tries to go to the top rope. Then he gets taken out by Ilya Dragunov. Yeah, now trust me, I did not write down every spot in the match because I actually had to watch the full thing of this on Sunday and Monday. Dragunov tries to go one more time for his flying head, but I don't know what the move is called. And then he gets caught with a spear that cuts him right in half by Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker retains the NXT Championship. Great matchup. I know it was a great main event. It opened great. It ended great. Everything in the middle was definitely like filler. It shouldn't have been like that filler, but it was definitely filler. Melo needs to be the next challenger for Breaker, or it's either going to be Melo or Apollo Crews. But I think now they're probably going to take time to bring Braun Breaker up to the main roster.
We'll see what they do.
Yeah. So that was Halloween Havoc. I give it a slight thumbs up. Like I said, the beginning and the end was the best part. Everything was filler. I didn't need Apollo Crews being Undertaker. The Roxanne Perez and Corey J thing at the end was like, what the hell was going on with that? Like I said, the main was Albert Fryer thing, especially with the Haunted House stuff. That stuff was forgettable. All that stuff was forgettable. And Julius Creed, and I was like, okay, it's an ambulance matchup, but it has no substance to it. Especially when Julius Creed, as I know they want to, eventually he will be like a single star, but obviously he's a tag team wrestler. So
yeah, with his brother,
yeah. So that's basically how I feel about it.
So, it was solid. It was whatever. I wasn't really after the first match. I was like, okay.
No, let's just call a spade. When you saw Apollo Taker come up there,
well, even before that, because I didn't even care about it before that. But then when that happened, I was like, well, yeah.
And
then Shotzi brought it back, but then that was it.
Yeah.